Hey guys, this is Sierra, and my video is about Nosedive. I titled it A Call from a Familiar Stranger. What I'm going to discuss here is how the directors of Nosedive use facial close-ups, color palette contrast, and dynamic character blocking to emphasize the social constraints and pressures of creating a perfect image of oneself. First thing I want to talk about is close-ups. So during this specific sequence of shots, we see that Naomi as well as Lacey are both seen with these very close-up shots that show their emotional exchanges. We see the camera is also beginning to zoom in on Naomi, which is also building that climax of emotional tension. Tears are beginning to well in their eyes, so we can see that this is important to Naomi as well as Lacey, and Lacey's face shows her agreement to become the maid of honor, but she's also very weary because there's so much stress on her getting those high ratings, and we can see that's all in her face, that she's very concerned. Also, as this scene progresses, we can see just like that, she wipes a tear off her eye and she rolls over while Lacey still has a tear in her eye, suggesting that she's careless about it. It's not something that Naomi's very worried about, whereas Lacey is. The next close-up shots are with Lacey and her brother. These ones show that he is in disbelief. He thinks that she is absurd, and even though they start out as medium shots, they slowly progress to facial close-ups, and that again builds the climax for the different expressions. So she laughs anxiously right there, almost as if she is in disbelief of herself, that she knows she might be a little absurd with how much she is placing on being this high member of society. She takes a drink, just like anyone else might do when they're a little stressed and they're trying to find a way to handle that stress. Next close-up shots I'm going to show you are with the food preparation. So as we can see, the camera is really focused on the objects that she is cooking with rather than Lacey herself. That to me signifies that society has placed such a high importance on materialism that they've forgotten the individual uniqueness of people themselves. Not only has it done that, but she's also creating this distasteful item. Next thing I'm going to talk about is color palette. So with this, there is the elite color palette versus the non-elite color palette. The elite color palette is the light pastel pinks, pinks, yellows, purples, and non-elite is the grays and blues that we see. So particularly with Lacey and her brother, you can see that she's wearing that light pink shirt and her brother is in gray. This again shows that they aren't with each other's standards, and the device that she picks up is a part of that elite society. So the very thing that her life is revolving around is a part of that elite color palette, and so is this next device that we see when Naomi calls in. She shoos her brother out of the room because he's obviously out of place. His opinions are different than hers, his beliefs are different, and that shows with his color contrast. Naomi is also wearing a bright pink bikini, and we will see later on about that. Now I want to talk about their apartments. So Naomi's apartment is full of those light pinks and the light yellows, whereas Lacey's is very dull and gray. She's also wearing a light pink top, which is the only thing Naomi will see, and that's signifying that she wants her to feel like she's a part of the elite society. Next thing I want to talk about is dynamic blocking. So with the dynamic blocking, I'm going to talk about how and why they are arranged as they are and what it means. So again, Lacey and her brother is always to the left of the screen, whereas Lacey is on the right of the screen. This specific blocking is to show their opposite opinions and that they are on opposite ends of the spectrum here. Now, as we will see in just a few seconds, when she answers the phone, she is turned to the back, and that just shows that she's very careless about it, and she's not as concerned about the future as Lacey is. With this exchange, we can see that Lacey is isolated. She stays in the same spot. She never moves around, whereas Naomi grabs that camera and she travels around, showing that she has a sense of freedom and these abilities that Lacey's incapable of having because she does not have these ratings that Naomi does. It also gives us a setting of Naomi's house where we've already seen Lacey's. You can see that there's manicured lawns, this great big expensive furniture, and there's even a maid in the background. just again highlighting that she is a part of this society, and it revolves around her high rating of a 4.8 out of 5. Lacey's also struggling with herself. She's in this awkward stance, which signifies that she's dealing with this internal struggle, that she is very stressed about getting those higher ratings, and she knows it's a little absurd, but it's the only way she feels that she will fit into society. So some additional findings were things that stuck out to me that didn't quite fit into the categories that I've already discussed. So in this particular spot, Lacey has a stained shirt. And that shirt is stained, so it has an imperfection, and she's going to frantically find a way to cover up the stain, just as she continuously tries to find ways to cover up her mistakes throughout this entire episode, before they snowball into majorly progressive problems. Then we also see that she is facing the back. Again, that just shows that she is careless, she is comfortable, and she is not trying to impress Lacey because she's already impressive with her ratings. Her brother is also in the background, and he's still curious because we'll see in just a few seconds he will walk behind Lacey, and that just proves that you can oppose something and reject something all you want, but you're still a little bit curious about it, just as her brother is when he walks past. As we'll move on, we'll also touch on the stain on Lacey's shirt. The stain actually begins to grow in size, and it's directly placed above her heart, meaning that without making these mistakes and without being a part of that society, Lacey will break. She'll lose her vitality. She will no longer feel like she has a place to fit in. Right here specifically, she's frantic again about covering that mistake, but her brother is directly behind her. So because her brother is directly behind her, we can see their opposition once again. She's stressed and her brother's actually laughing back there. So, I guess the moral of the story is to beware of what technology can do to us and make sure you are not falling into the patterns that Lacey is.